What weird trends have gone through your school? Back in high school the guys would call each other by their mom's names. So you would be at your locker and from down the hall you'd hear a loud, obnoxious "Lorraine," followed by some comment about her sexual abilities and questions about her plans for her mouth later. My school was doing this with middle names. Everybody would refer to each other by their middle names. The wider the better. Since mine is Russian, it was always a treat. We had a trend of bag fights. Everyone in the playground would form a huge circle, with 2 school bags in the middle next to each other, and chant "fight, fight, fight." Teachers would then come running out to break up the fight, only to discover it had been nothing but a bag fight all along. My school did something similar except instead of bags in the middle of the circle it was 2 people thumb wrestling. Wearing 3D glasses as sunglasses. Some girls in my class started eating baby food. 10th grade Germany here. For whatever reason some girls in my class are doing this because it tastes like a smoothie. Rubik's Cubes. For some reason everyone eventually learned how to solve them and people would then compete to see who could solve it faster. Same in 2010, so I was about 15. People would lubricate them with Vaseline so they could do it with one hand. Throwing firecrackers at freshmen. That didn't last long. Piercing ears with paper clips. Girls in my 7th grade class, back in 2003, used to carry around purses shaped like corsets. My mom made me take one of those to school. She said it would help make new, mature friends. In HS, there was an odd group of girls who would credit card each other by quickly slipping their hand up someone's butt crack or down the front of a girl's chest. It was weird. My group of friends did this in mid-school, ages 11-14, and a lot of us ended up being lesbians. It was our way of awkwardly copying feels, I guess. Not that weird, but if you want to be cool you have to wear a raincoat. 90% of people wear a raincoat no matter the weather. Cool kids make all the girls wet. They came prepared. The weirdest thing I remember was the introduction of a game called botching. All it involved was flicking someone's nose as hard as possible before they could react. Some of the best botches did result in nosebleeds. Alright grandpa, it's time for your nap soon. Someone started a thing at my school where you'd take someone's rucksack, backpack, school bag when they weren't looking, empty it out, turn it inside out, put everything in and zip it back up. It was called papoose, for some reason. We do this but we call it nuggeting. One day in my math class so many people got nuggeted that everybody who hadn't was basically sitting on their backpacks to protect them. Yoyus in 6th grade, 1998. Everyone was yoiling so much in the hall that we had a few minor injuries. Yoyus were banned. We would spend the whole lesson when we were supposed to be listening stabbing each other in the thigh with stationery to see who would yelp and get in trouble. Maths was the worst with the compasses. There was a weird point in like 2007/8 where all the rough kids in my North England school got really into golf. You'd be sat in maths and some lads in the back would be discussing their handicap. Really odd. The sadistic masochistic game of knuckles, where one player puts their knuckles on a table and the other player flicks a coin until they bleed. We had a sadistic game too. Basically everyone placed their hands on a flat surface, one on top the other. Then the guy whose hand is right at the bottom of the pile would swing down with a piece of stick. The other players could pull away from the pile at any moment during the swing. The idea is to pull away fast enough to get the guy with the stick to hit his own hand. The blow dart game. Yell someone's name to get their attention, then pretend to blow an air dart at their face. If you get hit, you have to go completely limp until someone pulls the dart out of your neck. Unfortunately, it was banned because one time a kid actually passed out in the hallway and no one knew it. Also, someone collapsed in the middle of a math class and didn't move, seriously freaking out the teacher. In 8th grade the girls would swap one shoe with their friends at the start of the day and walk around with odd shoes all day. After school they'd swap back and then swap with a different friend the next morning. In 9th grade the girls would grow their fingernails disgustingly long and then put earrings through them. In 9th grade all of the guys started bringing pet mice to school and keeping them in their pockets, backpacks, shoes and then pulling them out at random times in class. In 10th grade the guys started shaving bald patches into the tops of each other's heads. We had a girl who was Instagram famous, and there was a time where everyone harassed her for autographs and stuff like that. Someone even started an account of her in her natural state and took candid photos of her in school. There's an Instagram famous girl at my university right now, around 350k real IG followers, and every time I see her, she's surrounded by other girls that seem to be laughing at nothing. It almost looks like a cartoon. We had a thing called a footy cut, which was where the person would have all of their hair flat, except for the back of the head, where the hair was all fluffed up and sticking outwards. It was a crap year. That game where you would hold your hand in like a OK sign, and if your friend looked, you gotta punch him. I believe the rules dictated the sign had to be below the waist. You could win by breaking the circle without looking at it. Sponging. To prank people, we would put a little piece of sponges on their shoulders without their awareness. It was just an art class, but it went all around the school in 3 days. School of 1500. It got better when my awesome math teacher taped a piece of sponge to my civics teacher's back. The next day, she came in telling us about how the people remodeling her house were laughing at her all day because she had not known until her husband came home and asked her about her pet sponge. Girls at my school used to suck on baby pacifiers. I remember my older sister had a pacifier. Apparently it was cool to have them in her high school. This was in like 2002 or 2003. Tech decks. My friend and I sold them for like $7 a piece. Man, what a stupid trend, but I was a rich 7th grader. Anyone in the UK remember those Unite Against Racism wristbands? They consisted of 2 intertwined bands, one black and one white. Anyway, a group of lads in my 99.9% white school in rural North Wales took to cutting off the white band in order to be more street. Anyway, to combat this, another group of lads decided to cut off the black band, thus beginning the first and only all-white race war. In my white high school, all the neo-Nazi kids and all the punk kids would engage in what I guess you could call a race war, or at least all the punk kids would beat up the Nazi kids for being racists. You know that S thing? Yay, that never seemed to get old, and it was everywhere. Vote for Pedro t-shirts dominated my middle school for a while. I didn't see the movie, so I was confused as to who Pedro was, and why I should have voted for him. It's alright. He lacked political experience anyways. Not weird, but in middle school in the US, the most annoying freaking trend came about. If you guys have been hit with a paper wasp, you know my pain. Paper wasps were a tiny piece of paper folded up to it could sit on a rubber band. Then they would pull back the rubber band. The paper would fly at Mach 9 speed, and it stung like a bee when it hit. Hence the name paper wasp. Finally, the principal stopped that crap when some kid was hit in the neck multiple times and went to the nurse. People at my middle school would put staples and duct tape on theirs. It got really brutal. It all ended when a kid got one stuck in his eye. From what I remember, post-it notes made for the best hornets, as we called them. Kids sniffed those sniff pencils. They got banned from school. One kid was found with 2 of them stuck under his nose behind the school. They sniffed them to get high. The school sold them in the library, so essentially my school was a drug dealer at one point. We had the same with scented gel pens. People used to shoplift all the time and trade sell them. It was so stupid. Formal attire in middle school. Boys wore a suit and tie to geometry class. What a bunch of squares. In my brother's high school, it was considered weak to wipe your butt after pooping. That seems a bit weird to me. That's the most insane crap I've ever heard. I'm 100% certain that your brother was the victim of some cruel conspiracy of practical jokers, trying to trick him into walking around with poop in his pants. Those frickin' yoyas in 5th grade, man. There was this game that was pretty popular to the boys at our school for a while called hide and go crap. Basically, whenever someone took a crap, they would send a picture message of their crap to every guy on their phone, and everyone who got it would have to somehow get out of class and find the crap. The most popular excuse with the players was to ask to go take a crap themselves, which resulted in a lot of frustration from the teachers for having so many dang kids taking shoots. As a guy, I personally never played, but I received many crap pics on my phone. I must admit, some were pretty impressive. Teacher here. My students eat those Asian noodle soup things dry. I feel like it could be very unhealthy to eat 2-3 packs a day. Haha, we did that too, over 15 years ago, but only occasionally. It wasn't a trend or anything. I'm in Germany as well. I should probably also confess that I am now an adult and have definitely done this at least once within the last 3 years. For 2 years in my little private middle school, all of us guys would sack tap each other. Sack tapping is when you flick your wrist and smack a guy in the junk with the back of your hand. For about a year the guys in our class would stand around cupping our junk wherever we were standing together. If a guy forgot to cup, he'd be sack tapped. The school finally sat us down and told us to stop being freaking weird. I'm paraphrasing that, but you get the idea. This app called Yik Yak, where you can anonymously post messages to everyone in the area, got really popular one day. People were insulting each other and harassing teachers. Halfway through the day a girl ran down the hallway screaming because she'd been called a dumbass. My favorite quote of the day was, "Don't nobody want to frick her and her bat winged bag." Halfway through the day all the teachers found out, called the app developers and made them block it on our campus. Formspring was similarly popular when my brother was in high school. It was hilarious because a kid got expelled over death threats he was making over it. He argued, "But it's anonymous. It's illegal to find out that I was the one doing it." On the downside, the government thought that the child with a lack of education is best removed from the educational system. Middle school, wearing many layers of t-shirts and collared shirts, like 5-7. I think it was a short-lived preppy fad. High school, carrying a large 1/2 or gallon jug of Bojangles sweet iced tea around after lunch. It let everyone know that you drove all the way to the next city over to get it. There was no time to actually eat there. You had to eat it on the way back in your car. College, everyone started carrying Nalgene water bottles to class at some point. That caught on pretty much everywhere. After winter break one year, everybody had a Palm Pilot and was transferring their business cards to their classmates. Everyone. Masters, being the valedictorian of some large university back in Korea, India, China. PhD, pretending to be dumb, saying things like your advisor said you don't have to do research anymore. People would try to smoke Smarties, the candy. Eventually Smarties were banned, and if you were caught with them it would lead to a referral. A referral for candy. Dang middle schoolers. We had this weird trend in high school where everyone was getting freaking pregnant. Everyone in my school waited until the year after high school, then the pregnancies started. It was like they had a goal of not getting pregnant in HS, so they decided the year after was totally different. The trend at my uni right now is protesting anything. Oh man, on my uni Facebook page, a girl posted stating she knew where a politician lived and she was starting a protest. A guy asks what about, and she, "I crap you not," said she wasn't sure, but thought it would be a good idea anyway. We had a fad called Nano Chair. We would put banana peels under our chairs and we could slide around. It was actually a lot of fun. Teachers would get peed but we could just slide away from them. Right after Columbine, the people in my school had this weird trend of giving me a wide breadth in the halls and being a lot more polite. Really weird, I'd say. I got picked on a lot less after Columbine too. I went to a Christian school and one day they gave everyone a personal Bible. Bible wars commenced. We just beat each other with Bibles. This went on for a week until the school had to ban them. That's right, my Christian school banned personal Bibles. Adds another layer to Bible thumpers. There was a weird game going around at one point. If you call someone's name while you were making finger glasses and that person turns to look at you, that person would have to put their head to a wall and go full retard for 10 seconds. If, on the other hand, the person predicted that you would have finger glasses, they would turn to look at you with a finger on their nose. Then you had to go to the nearest doorknob and touch it with your knee. It was the stupidest crap ever, but sorta fun. Every once in a while an iPhone game will sweep the entire school and everyone will be playing it for a week or so until someone discovers the next one. Right now everybody is obsessed with 2048. Work. 2048 is so May. The word troll. That teacher trolled you so hard. I wish I was as troll as Jessica. That's so troll. Trolling so hard right now. Most of the time, it wasn't even about being troll. You have been visited by the party pug. He just wants you to celebrate with him. Comment woohoo to celebrate with the party pug. Thanks for watching. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day you magnificent people.